You lied when you smiled at that cracker down the job, right? Lie to me, smile. Treat me the same way you would treat him.
I can't treat
You
you the way I treat him.
You must. Because I've caught the frowns and the anger. He's happy with you. Of course he doesn't know you're unhappy. You grin at him all day long. You come home and I catch hell because I love you. I get least of you. I get the very minimum. And I'm saying, fake it with me. Is that too much for the black woman to ask of the black man?
So black men have claimed since the antebellum period that they could not love black women until they had equality or status or whatever financial level achieved.
Put some pearls on my wife's neck. You tell me what man decides in this world what woman should wear pearls and what woman shouldn't. I tell you, I'm a man. I say I want her to wear it, Jim. How are you gonna...
Now that sounds like a fine, noble sentiment, but he's been using the fact that he can't buy her pearls or give her a nice life as an excuse to mistreat her the entire play. What kind of logic is that? I can't give you the best, so I'm going to give you the worst? The problem is, black men have tasked black women with fixing a problem that was never theirs to solve. If black men were emasculated by white supremacy, we didn't do it, and they have never taken into account how our sense of self and gender was destroyed by white supremacy in the same exact way. They try to make it our responsibility to make them feel like men, but as we get closer and closer to solving the problem, they continue to move the goalposts because they never intended to honor their promises. That's why they ask for all of this contradictory work. They want black women to be perfectly feminine and submissive, but also pay half the bills or more to support them. Now, how's she supposed to be submissive if she's supporting him? Now, some people might think this is a modern problem. After all, life is more expensive than it used to be, so women have to work to support the household, black women and white women, and it doesn't mean that a man is due any less respect. That is a complete lie. It has always been this way within the community. Black men have always been underemployed, and most black women always worked outside the house to make up the shortfall, and yet these men have always demanded submission and perfect domesticity simultaneously, even though they're two completely contradictory goals. And even when black women meet these conditions perfectly, we are punished, as in Richard Wright's native son. Richard Wright, who himself had a white wife, wrote Native Son, wherein the main character, Bigger Thomas, a black man, has a black girlfriend who he demands bring him money and other gifts. She does it, he still grapes her and then murders her and throws her body down an air shaft. This woman was probably the original literal ride or die. In another protest novel, Ann Petry's The Street, she records the story of a young woman, Ludi Johnson, who's doing everything she can to support her household when her husband can't get a job. She gets a job as a live-in maid, and then he cheats on her and moves another woman into the house because he claims he's emasculated by her working. But he was also complaining when she stayed home and their only source of support was taking in some foster children for the stipend that the state gave them. Ludi was working as hard as she possibly could to pay the mortgage, and it still wasn't enough. But these are the conditions that black men like Tyler Perry are calling for you to replicate in 2023. They're telling you it's okay if a man can only pay the light bill. They want you to make up the shortfall and submit to him at the same time. This is all because they don't want to do the work they need to do to get into a better position as men. This is also why they've been hating on and devaluing black women's strides in education and starting their own businesses, because that exposes the lie that racism is what's keeping them from rising up. It's not that racism is not a real problem, but black women face misogynoir. They face racism and sexism, and they are still overcoming these hurdles. So what is their excuse? As men, they don't have one. So they gave you an impossible task. You solved it, and now they've complained that it's been fulfilled perfectly because they never intended to honor their promises. And this is why so many black men have tried to destroy the image of black women worldwide. Look at hip hop, thought, John, baby mama. All those words were invented and disseminated by black men. The white man didn't do it. And they've even invented words for good black men to tear them down. Words like simp, they call them corny, they call them cucks. You wouldn't destroy something that was yours, right? That you intended to put in a place of honor one day. No, they always wanted to step on you and get out of this area because they hate it themselves. They hate their reflection and they don't want to see it reproduced. That's why when they create their own media, like rom-coms, TV shows, they always show themselves with women who are not their mirror image. Those TV genetics ensure their sons are unambiguously black, but their daughters and wives never look anything like them. Funny how there's always one tone for the men and a completely different set of swatches for the women. Now, because Black women have handled this contradictory task perfectly does not mean that they're perfect. They have made a huge tactical error, and that is trying to fulfill all these things at once, trying to be with Black men on their own terms. They have been the cleanup woman, the ride or die chick, the everything, the all, trying to prove that they are worthy of love and trying to eliminate all the problems that Black men claim had to be solved in order for them to finally treat Black women well. Please leave that junk in 2023. Now, I'm very proud of all my sisters who stopped marching, who stopped giving this unreciprocated labor, who stopped having the babies without commitment. I'm very proud of you, but the rest need to get on board. I think social media has been around long enough to collapse every myth. When we were living in small individualized silos and we didn't know better than to just believe all these various contradictions, there was an excuse for ignorance. But now there can be no excuse. The jig is up, okay? Let's say they did get brainwashed. Black women are not rehabilitation centers, okay? They're not deprogramming centers. And if their minds are that weak that because somebody else said so, they're going to devalue their own women, abandon their own children, and destroy their own community because another man said so, do you really want to be in a relationship with those people? At the end of the day, can't do is the same as won't do. Neither of them have a home, says Maya Angelou. If these men can't treat you right because of racism and the brainwashing of the evil white man, this, that, and the third, or they're just choosing not to treat you right, the end result is the same. You are not being treated right, and you deserve better. People need to stop talking about the by and by. Oh, well, if we all work on the community, if Black women just keep giving you a chance, then in 20, 30, 50 years, man, screw that. Okay, you sound just like the slave masters who were telling Black people that they were going to have their heaven in heaven while they had theirs on earth. No, that is canceled, okay? Black women are not responsible for holding up the Black community. Black men didn't want to do it, so I guess it's just not going to get done. The biggest lie that we were ever sold is that freedom is collective. Freedom is individual. While you're living depressed and marching and praying and whatnot, these men are out for all that they can get, living their individualized free lives, and they only want to use the idea of racism and discrimination to tug at your heartstrings when they want something. Then it's, oh, sister, oh, we need you to march, oh, he got killed. It's always someone who wasn't contributing anything. And when they're not using you for your labor, you're being abused and then discarded. Stop it. I'm declaring 2024 the year of egalitarianism, okay? Just like you cannot go to a bank and draw out money that you did not deposit, people should not be able to draw out labor from you they didn't deposit, okay? If they didn't do something for you, you will not be doing anything for them, period. And that's for everybody. Family, friends, random strangers in the community. If they didn't do something for you, they're not getting anything back from you. And if they want labor that they had not paid into, they can pay for it right now. Know your worth and then add tax. And one more thing, stop letting men like this, Jonathan Majors, who only wanted white women when he was riding high, evoke the specter of civil rights leaders when he got in trouble using those same white women. First of all, stop letting these men triangulate white and Black women, period. Because when he was alone with Ms. Jabari, who was he calling out the names of? Michelle Obama and Coretta Scott King. And then in public, he was telling Black women they weren't good enough. It's always something with these guys. But it's the same tired play every time. They're free to date whoever they want and do whatever they want. But the minute something goes wrong, they claim, oh, it's because I'm a Black man. What happened, sir? A minute ago, I thought we were all equal. And if Black women said anything, or in your mind, you thought they were saying something about who you chose to date, they were evil, bitter haters. You can't say that and then turn around and say, oh, it's because of racism and inequality that you're being persecuted for who you've decided to date. All these men have is triangulation, whether it's dark women against light-skinned women, Black women against white women, or preferences, small women against tall women, or big women against thin women. It's always something. All they can do is pit us against one another because they know if we stop looking at each other and start looking at them, we're going to see that they are lacking, okay? They are no one to A, fight over, and B, be concerned with. So just stop buying into all this foolishness in 2024. That's all, ladies. Like and follow for more.